Welcome to tonight's late night Q&A with ZodWriter. I am ZodWriter, and with me tonight I have my special guest, Mr. Justin Proper. Welcome, Justin. Good to be with you today, man. How
Hey,
you
it's
doing,
good.
man?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you after so long.
Oh yeah. For those that didn't know, I was on this week in BS with Justin, and that was pretty awesome. That was,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Justin, you do a really good show, and you got a great panel full of people that you bring on. You try to switch it up. You always have cool people on. It was a lot of fun today, man. I really was happy I was able to be on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And for people who didn't know who you were, hopefully you got a couple new subs or something. I've always made a point to have different people on. Even starting back when I was proper Jeremy, which I'm sure we'll talk about
Yeah,
later.
you did your. I watched a little bit of your proper Jeremy stream. I watched there were a couple other streams that you sent me. Where you were talking about ATMs being blown up and my good friend Robert Meyer Burnett getting fired. Robert Meyer Burnett's a good friend of mine. So when I watched that stream, I was like, oh my god. Well, I see. I've known Robert Meyer Burnett back from my ZodWriter show radio days because I used to do my internet radio show, and I had him on several years ago to talk about his movie Free Enterprise, and
Okay.
because I'm a big fan of that film, and him and I became friends and stayed in touch. And I've had him on. I've had him on. I had him on my radio show a couple different times, and then I had him on YouTube. And yeah, he's just a cool guy. So I just thought that was so awesome. That when you guys were talking about him, I'm like, oh yeah, Robert. He's kind of everywhere, and it's like you guys were saying, he's one of the nicest guys in the world. He'll do anything for you, and he wants to be positive and hang around everybody. So it's kind of awesome. It was kind of awesome, and I thought it was appropriate, to watch one of your streams where that was a you guys talked
Oh
about that for
yeah,
quite a while.
yeah. I guess you went through my. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's one of the ones I had.
Yeah, it was one of
It's a,
your This Week in BS that you sent me to watch. So
oh,
I
you
watched
watched
it.
the whole thing then. You
Yeah,
must
yeah, I
have.
got pretty far. It was one of the early ones, and it was because it was back when Lorena was still in Philadelphia. So that was a while ago.
Yeah, yeah. Was it the one that involved actual poop?
Yeah,
Was
there
it
was a
that
lot of there
stream?
was a lot of poop and manure. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
being
God, I didn't
discussed.
know that was the same stream. So yeah, I'm glad because the first 30 minutes of that one was my favorite because we talked about this guy who literally made women go on their knees and
Oh yeah. That guy, the guy that was he had all these all these women getting on their knees apologizing for white privilege.
yeah. Can you apologize for your white privilege?
And
This
that was
was
so when Donald Duck was still president. Yeah, that was
Donald
pretty
Duck.
that was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. Hey, what's up, Corey? Good to see you, man. Glad you could
Hey.
make it. Marcus, how you doing, man? Oh, we're gonna talk about a bunch of stuff. We're not gonna be here for too long tonight, but we're gonna hang out and talk for a bit.
Yeah.
Glad you could be here. What's up, Vince? Good to see you. Hey guys, busy at work, but here and listening. Well, that's cool, man. Anytime you can come here and you want to hang out here for late night Q&A, that's awesome. So thank you so much for being here. It's always awesome. But one thing I want to talk to you about, which I
Okay.
was very happy that you sent me this video, was you and your grandparents were reacting to a video basically tearing down the Wizard of Oz. But I think when he was tearing down Wizard of Oz, he was doing it in tongue in cheek because I
He
don't think
was.
he was being serious, but it was pretty funny. And I just loved how your grandmother was getting so bothered by it. Like your grandmother was really getting irritated. Like your grandmother didn't see. I don't think your grandmother caught that it was satirical, but I thought that it was so
I don't.
funny. And I loved how your grandfather was just agreeing with everything that was being said. Like, what's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that. That's true. That's true. Women are like that. I mean, it was just amazing. It was awesome. And then it was like you did it in a way where it was essentially, an anniversary gift to your grandparents, a
It
wedding anniversary
was.
gift. It was a wonderful video, and I really, really appreciate you sending it to me. I actually sent that video to my parents because
Oh,
I wanted my dad to check that out because I just thought that was so funny. So
well, I'm
I
glad,
think you
and
did
it's
a
kind
good
of.
I think you did a good job there. That was awesome.
Well, thank you, thank you. Yeah, and well, that's why I made my grandmother the thumbnail for that video. Her shocked expression, just like, like
I,
she's disgust. I can't replicate it.
it was just utter disgust, and it was awesome. like like you could, but see, she was making some great points in the video too, because she kept saying how you could pretty much take any movie and tear it up. Any
Yeah.
movie, it doesn't matter. Any movie, you could take any movie, whether you think it's a good movie, and find the plot conveniences and things, and make excuses as to why it's a bad movie, because technically, if you did that, then there would be no plot and it would just be ridiculous. I
Hmm.
mean, there's so many different things that you encapsulated all in that one video. But I swear to God, like your grandfather's reaction to it was just classic. Like he was just
Oh,
like,
which one? It's just like there's so many to pick from. It's just like, oh, like I don't think my grandma's like, oh, I don't think the Cecil guy really likes women much. It's like I was like, wait, why do you say that? It's like, well, he's making them out to be bitches and whatnot. And my grandfather's just immediately snaps like, what's the matter with that?
right, right.
Something like that. Yeah, just because that they've been married for over 50 years, and it they're just funny like that, and people enjoyed it. People especially my family, and my grandmother, unfortunately, she passed away in early in January. So now it's just kind of like a one of those things where I'm so glad I had asked them to do it, because I don't think that it would have happened, because it was a few months before COVID. So it really was like the last chance for me to be able to do this. And I wanted to do this with them for a while. I knew that they were essentially comedic gold, even like from an early age. And I'm just like, these two are funny. Like they just are, not even intentionally. Their personalities, they'd be, it would be, not necessarily, oh, just great for the channel, just to, do whatever. But it was more or less just I guess what it has turned into now that my grandmother's no longer here. It's something to sort of um, it's like a home video, if you will. When people used to have those those camcorders that
Well,
they would
yeah,
follow
yeah.
around, those bulky Sony ones from like '95 or something. My parents had one, and there was a lot of comedic gold that I saw in my family home videos, and that's, I guess, sort of what I captured. And it was like they weren't even on camera at all. They were just watching it. It's like they forgot that they were being recorded, and it was such a pure moment, and I loved it.
Yeah, it seemed like you could have just as easily been having that conversation off camera, and it would not have mattered. Uh, you know, here's the link for anybody
Well,
that
thank you.
wants to check out that video. That video is awesome, and I highly recommend. I highly recommend everybody check it out. See, now me and my brother had did something not quite exactly what you did, but we had done
Yeah.
something for my back when my grandmother was still alive for her 80th birthday.
Oh wow.
And back in the day, what we did was we took a bunch of did like a video and took all of her like moments and photos and stuff and set it all to music and did like a big like music video kind of thing and put it out, and for everybody to see. And it's one of the things that we still have in memory of her, after she passed away. And it was a beautiful experience. And like what you're talking about here, those kinds of things are, again, like time capsules, because once you have it, it's there. It's like a frozen moment in time that you can always go back and look at in a fond way, and just be thankful that you did it. And that's amazing. But I just loved it. I loved the entire thing. I thought it was great.
Oh, thank you.
Like you had, I mean, there was so much gold there, and I just loved how your grandfather just totally belittled the Wizard of Oz. Like, I just watched it, I had some popcorn, and I left the theater, and I didn't really think about it. Like, it was no big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it was just a popcorn flick. I mean, even back then, it was just a popcorn flick. I mean, it was like, it wasn't like a situation where you would go to the movie. I mean, I could just imagine going, if say we were alive during that time, Wizard of Oz would be the equivalent of like Star Wars today, wouldn't it? I mean, essentially,
yeah, absolutely. Especially when it starts out in black and white and then it turns into color when she opens up the door and enters the world of Oz. It was very brilliant and very calculated in that way. Despite hearing the horror stories of the production, the end product, at least, all of the suffering from the actors and the crew were not in vain, because it turned out to be one of the best films arguably ever made at the time, and even still today. Do
you believe the story about the hanging munchkin?
Oh, I don't. No, I think it's rubbish. That's been debunked.
It's been debunked several times. I just find it funny how there's people to this day that are still hunting down like the oldest possible home video release of this movie to try and say, oh, it's still there. It's still there on the VHS tape from years and years and years ago. All we have to do is unearth it, and we'll get the right copy. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. I mean, you do see a shadow or like a silhouette in the background that kind of looks like something's hanging there, but it doesn't. But it's not pronounced enough to where you would think that it actually was like a hanging munchkin.
No, and
I
that
agree.
movie is
It's been
over
debunked
80
so
years old.
much. Yeah.
And I doubt that anybody, well, I'm sure someone does, but if you have a copy of that movie, that film reel that was in the movie theater, whew, and it's a good condition, you're gonna be fucking rich.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's one of those things. You have the an original black and white film reel from back when the movie first appeared in
Any
theaters.
movie, really.
Yeah,
like Citizen Kane. Yeah, hailed as one of the greatest.
Well,
movies.
there was a group of film searchers. I'm going to call them film searchers because they were seeking Citizen Kane, not Citizen Kane, but Orson Welles' original cut of the Magnificent Ambersons. There's his original cut, his director's cut of that movie that was cut up and edited and torn to shreds by the studio, kind of like like Justice League and Superman 2. Basically, the world has never seen his what the version that he intended. The theatrical cut, the cut that everybody's seen of Magnificent Amberson is not what he intended. So they're searching for it now. And this was before the this was before the big pandemic, set everything ablaze. So I don't know if I don't know what kind of progress he's come up with, but the guy who was doing it, the guy that was leading the expedition to find the film, I believe was going to Denmark or going somewhere where they claimed that they had an original print of Orson
Is
Welles'
that where it ended, or
Magnificent Amberson.
like what came of that?
I see. I don't know. I haven't heard anything new since then. I think I had first read about the expedition early 2019, and then when the pandemic hit, that they kind of went quiet on that. So I don't know if it's still being searched for, because I think if it would have been found, they would have announced it by now.
Oh,
Because
I think they lured him into a trap and killed him. Possibly.
maybe well, if they at least let him watch the movie. I mean, maybe he got to watch it, but it's like, yeah, you can see it, but then we have to kill you. So
Yeah, like if you watch it, we're gonna have to kill you. But you know what? If you're gonna do that, like I'm not serious about that. I don't think that really happened. But it's just, what was the last message? Like, hey, I'm gonna fly out to Denmark. Wish me luck.
let me
Bye,
see here.
guys.
Let me see if there's anything. Let me do a quick Google search and see if
I'm
there's
curious
anything
about that
on it.
too. Because it's so
Magnificent.
difficult with these older films, even films in the 80s, these blooper reels, gag reels, you can find that easily. With newer films, that's totally accessible. But back then, like, sometimes you'll have the footage but not the sound. And back then, oh my goodness, there was a movie called Freaks, which, if you
Oh
guys.
yeah, I've got that film. I've got that film, Freaks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where spoiler alert, the woman turns into like a duck or something.
Right.
Apparently, it was a lot worse, a lot more graphic.
Okay, this is the most recent article I could find from IndieWire, and this was April 15th, 2021. And this is Expedition to Search for Uncut Magnificent Amberson Print in Brazil, set for fall of 2021. So the hunt was supposed to start in the fall of last year. Turner Classic Movies is partnering with filmmaker Joshua Grossberg on a documentary about his hunt for Orson Welles' holy grail of cinema. In an era when the Snyder Cut exists, the possibilities are endless that some of the best lost works in filmdom could see the light of day. If all goes well, the next one on the docket could be the most tantalizing one of all, Orson Welles' original version of Magnificent Ambersons. And it says here, Welles' feature released in 1942 saw the temperamental director film a 131-minute cut, only to have home studio RKO add new scenes, including a completely new ending, and excised 43 minutes of the film. Wells said about the finished production, they destroyed Ambersons and it destroyed me. Allegedly, the missing 43 minutes was melted down so
Oh wow!
so the nitrate could be utilized for the war effort. But filmmaker Joshua Grossberg, with the help of Turner Classic Movies, are on the hunt to find footage that might have been saved so a restoration of Wells' original version can take place. Turner Classic Movies will sponsor Grossberg's expedition to Brazil, where the footage was supposedly found in the 1960s. This fall, in the hopes the director's 25-year search will come to an end. So allegedly, he's been searching for this movie for 25 years. So we'll see if he was lucky. But I don't see any other articles about it. So I wonder if it just kind of he went to Brazil and nothing happened. He couldn't. They didn't have it, so they never mentioned it again. I don't know. I wonder if they scrapped the whole idea of the documentary too.
Yeah, I would think so. I'm amazed that there are a couple of shows that made me question why it was even made to begin with. These documentary styles, like the History Channel had Monster Quest, and most of those episodes literally ended in nothing being found except for one where they recorded they attached, like, they were trying to find a giant squid, and they attached a camera to a little squid that went down into the depths of the ocean, like really deep, really far deep, and they caught what on camera a huge squid like on camera, and that was like as best as they got, and that was incredible. But then they had like BS episodes like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and
You know what my favorite
nothing.
one is? You know what my favorite one is?
You watch that too?
The Hunt for Hitler, where they did this entire series where under the premise that Hitler is alive, it was alive living in Argentina or something, and they were trying to retrace his steps and prove that he lived beyond World War II and he didn't commit suicide in his bunker. That's my favorite show. I'm like, I don't know. There was like no resolution on that either. They had, we've got a lead. Every episode was, we got a lead. We got something here. Oh, we might have been able to find him. And they're doing all this, trekking.
They're like, wait, he's actually alive right here. We're gonna interview him.
Yeah,
no,
we're gonna catch him at a Wisconsin gas station.
Why would he ever come to America? Like, what the
yeah, that's it. Hunting Hitler. That's what it was called. Yes.
Yeah, like, so I'm glad that Turner Classic doesn't go that route where they'll just release it anyway, even though, it's a big waste of time, but like, you don't want to present junk out to people like that. That bothers me.
Right. If they really found the footage,
yeah,
I could see the documentary taking place and him talking about his 25-year quest to unearth the movie and all this other stuff. And that would be great because it's a piece of history. It's something nobody has seen. It's definitely something that would be interesting. But I did some research and found out
on HBO Max.
Sure they could. Yeah. And
the actual film. They're like, hey, let's digitize this.
Yeah, they'll do that, and then they'll put it, they'll give the rights to Criterion, and they'll let Criterion do a Blu-ray and a DVD and a 4K copy and all this. The thing is, here's the thing. Orson Welles had a lot of situations like that with his movies, where his movies it was like he was always at odds with the studio whenever he made a movie. So there's all kinds of tales about different movies where Orson Welles didn't get his way, and there exists a different cut of this movie and a different cut. It just so happens that Magnificent Ambersons is one of his most well-known films, so that's why it's such a big deal that, hey, we may have found this footage. No one would look for Hitler in America. Well, who knows? He might have came to America if he survived. I don't know. I mean, they made an entire show about chasing him all over the world, and they know let's just say that was true, and he did somehow get out and whatever, he would be long dead by now. So doing a series nowadays, hunting Hitler, to me, is like one of the most ridiculous things you could do, because who cares? If he was alive,
dead either way.
If he's not, if he was alive then, there's no way he's alive now, so it doesn't make any difference. What's the point?
When was he born? I don't even think. Yeah, 1889. Yeah, he's dead. 132 or something years old. Yeah, fuck that. No.
Biggest waste of time on the History Channel is The Curse of Oak Island. Okay,
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know what that is. I haven't watched it, but I'll take your word for it, Vince. I mean,
excuse me for my swearing, by the way.
I mean, it does sound like a waste of time, actually. So I'm gonna defer to you there. Zombie Hitler. Yeah, that would be about what you would find if you unearthed him. I mean, what would they do? I mean, because we have all this DNA technology now, would they be able to, like, if they said, this is Hitler's remains buried here in Yosemite Park, can we just dig up his remains and prove that he lived past beyond this time? I mean, that would probably be the only.
That would definitely open up a lot of questions and say, like what did he do? Like, how did he? That would raise a lot of questions for sure. But don't. I get it. You don't want to spend all this money to not get any profit in return, and they definitely milked that cow for what it was worth.
Oh yeah.
And turned up nothing. But
because those rumors were
made this up.
Yeah, those rumors were around for decades that he got away. He and of course the rumor I believe was Argentina. I think they even made a movie about it at some point, about him escaping and going to Argentina. And then this Hunting Hitler series that happened in the last few years kind of had a had a big, this big thing. And again, yeah, you're doing it just so that it's just a show that people will watch, because you're not coming to any real conclusion. And I think the idea is just to hope that people get caught up in your series and like what you're doing enough not to care that, hey, this really isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'll confess, I did watch the first 2 episodes of Hunting Hitler. Batdan 530 says, I've actually been to where Hitler was buried. It's just a parking lot. They didn't want to build a memorial for Hitler. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Wow, that doesn't surprise me. Very fitting.
Yeah, I mean, that actually makes sense. But we don't want to keep mentioning him too much, though, because if we keep mentioning him too much, it might trip the algorithm.
Yeah. I mean,
my God.
It's a decent conversation to have. Like these mysteries that you want to try to solve, and sometimes people become very passionate about wanting to solve this, and they spend their entire lives. I mean, you remember the movie National Treasure? Nicolas Cage's character, his entire life, ever since his grandfather told him that story, he wanted to find, that treasure. And then obviously the ensuing events, occur, and they're all ridiculous. They're completely ridiculous, completely fictional and absurd. Nicolas Cage, though, does sell you on it. And it does make that movie stand out just because of Nicolas Cage. My other friend, who's also named Zod, would appreciate that. He's a huge Nicolas Cage fan, has a Nick Cage stand-up, like little poster.
Oh, the life-size one?
Yeah. He will not let that go.
Those are fun. Life-size. I never understood the idea of getting a life-size cutout of anybody in your place, because it just, as a conversation piece, I guess it's like, oh, I guess you really like Superman, or you really like Nicolas Cage. It's like, yeah, thanks for stating the obvious. Like those damn ghost hunter shows. What was that sound? I'm a producer throwing a rock. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Pretty much.
No, but Ghost Adventures was a little different. Ghost Hunters sucked. Ghost Adventures with that cute guy, Zach Baggins. Ooh.
Is he any relation to Frodo Baggins?
No, not at all. The exact opposite. He's ripped. He has big muscles, and he's he does a lot of paranormal things too. But I guess the way that it was done felt a little bit more authentic, because if nothing happened, they'll tell you, okay, nothing happened, or they have an EVS recording or something, which is like not Ethan Van Sciver. It stands for something else. But I don't know. It could be fake too. But one of their early documentaries, there was like a brick that flew right by them, and they were like crying. They were like, ah! They're freaking out. I mean, it could easily
Baggins
be
love
fake, but at the same
Baggins love
time,
adventures.
yeah. Oh, yeah, they do love adventures. Yeah, like oh, that reminds me of the first Hobbit, where Bilbo's like, "I'm going on an adventure," like at the 45-minute mark.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah, but yeah,
if only the hobbits were real, we could,
they
we could
are. Oh,
we
they're
could
real.
maybe
They're
we could
real. You
maybe
can find them in
interview.
New Zealand.
They
They live
exist.
in the Shire. There are people who do live in the Shire.
They exist, and it's beautiful there. So why wouldn't you want to be there?
Exactly.
I really, when you think about all these kinds of programs that are designed to hook you in with the premise of finding something. I mean, I remember what was it, decades ago, where Geraldo Rivera thought that he had unearthed
Oh, Al Capone.
Al Capone, a safe, Al Capone, some sort of safe, and it was this big media blitz, and he thought he was going to be rich, he was going to be a billionaire once they unearthed what was in here. Like it was supposed to be, but they opened it up and there was nothing in it.
He emptied it out.
Yeah.
Scarface was a very smart guy when it came to that.
I just when I think about these kinds of things, it's like you're rolling. I like that you're taking a risk. Totally, you're rolling the dice, and you have to think about it. Is the upside better than the embarrassment of, hey, you opened it up, but there was nothing in there. So now what are you going to do? I mean, I don't think he ever recovered from that. I mean, if for real, it's like you have to have some sort of, they found the hobo's bottle of liquor.
Oh, that was Gandalf's.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be kind of funny to find like a Hobbit time capsule, and you open it up, and all that's in there is what's left of Gandalf's pipe weed. That's
and
all
then
that's in there.
What's left of the pipe, not or is there a little bit of weed still in there?
A little bit of pipe weed still in there.
Okay, well then,
and maybe a dragon.
That, I'm gonna invite you to New Zealand, and we're gonna smoke that shit.
That'd be awesome. And then if we could have some dragon firecrackers too, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, throw in we'll smoke it up and throw the dragon firecrackers, and then
those are like the coolest. Those are like the coolest firecrackers ever. That was one of the best things about Lord of the Rings was the dragon firecrackers. Like, yes.
I don't know how old you were when that came out. I don't want to ask, but I will tell you this: I was in kindergarten when that came out, that first movie, and those 3 movies, along with like seeing all these epic movies like the Spider-Man movies coming out, Harry Potter coming out around the same time, and there were all these even the Star Wars prequels. I'll throw them in there because it got me interested in Star Wars. All of these movies that were just so grandiose and were just epic, and they had practical effects that were somewhat refined by CGI, but didn't rely on it too heavily. They aged so well, and I feel like I was in the last generation of really young kids who got to experience really good quality cinema. And nowadays you don't really have that as much anymore. Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe
I think it's more because nowadays the way cinema is made, it's made not for the same reasons that cinema was made back then. Because when you look at what you just mentioned, for example, big grandiose films that were meant to resonate with you for your entire life, a movie that you could watch when you were in kindergarten and grow and become a grown man and still love it and still get that sense of quality and that sense of grandeur and epicness that you got as a kid, that's when you know that the movie is a quality movie.
Yeah.
I can watch Wizard of Oz right now and still think that Wizard of Oz is a quality movie. I saw Wizard of Oz when I was a baby, and again, everybody saw Wizard of Oz as a baby. And what do you think? I mean, I think even your grandmother said she saw it when she was a kid.
Yeah, and she bought the movie on VHS, for me to enjoy. And I watched it for the first time, and I was kind of like, I wasn't really feeling it. But then over time, I actually watched it, and I had to grow an
it's a classic.
appreciation for it.
I
Bat Dan.
absolutely love it. Thanks, Bat Dan. Thank you for being here, man. Appreciate that. Oh my God, it's still a fantastic film, but it's a sign of that, where it's one of those timeless movies again, like Star Wars, like Lord of the Rings. You have all of these films, and then you see the kinds of crap that's made today, and it makes you kind of sad, because you realize that the days of something truly epic that's going to stand the test of time and is going to be just as awesome 40 years from now, you know it's just very rare. I'm not saying that those types of movies cannot be made today, but I'm just saying it's rare for that to be the case, because a
Well, I
lot of the
think it was
movies are just
even.
pumped out for money, and that's it.
Well, wouldn't you say it was even rare back then
I don't
for
know.
that type of movie on a scale of Lord of the Rings to be made?
I don't
It
know,
was even
because
rare then.
when on your show, what we were talking about, we were talking about Steven Spielberg, and we were talking about Jaws. Think about
Yeah.
think about what Jaws was back in the day, right? Back in the
Mhm.
day, Jaws was probably for example, what Lord of the Rings was to you, or what Star Wars is to me,
Well,
or what Star Trek the motion picture was to Robert Meyer Burnett. I mean, think about the grandiose, the epicness of these movies, and what they meant to people, what they would mean to people at the time, and where nowadays, what do you got? You got the new Matrix movie. Oh wow.
on a streaming service.
Yeah.
Yeah, how amazing.
And it looked like they all just phoned it in. It's unfortunate that movies have become disposable to a certain extent. Make cinema not. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree that's what it is. It almost feels like these movies all have a disposable feel. Like, just get the movie out, make the money, and move on. And that's kind of how I approach a lot of the movies, that it's like, is this movie going to be worth watching in a movie theater? I don't know. Like, are you looking
And some of
forward
it,
to
well,
the
some of it is from you have to think about like No Way Home. That's not necessarily
that's not the norm.
that. Well, it's not necessarily like, oh, this is great cinema. No, this is the kind of movie that you see on opening night with the fans, to hear what their reaction is, and to see this moment in time. And I was not I did this to myself twice. I didn't see that in theaters. I didn't see Endgame in theaters, and I'm so mad that I didn't. But especially because I was in LA during when Endgame came out. But like all the movie theaters in LA, it's like $20. I didn't have a lot of money then, so I was like, crap, I'm gonna have to sit this one out. But but it would have been so worth it to just hear so many people just scream and yell and just be like, yeah, you know, that's what movie going has kind of turned into. That's the closest thing that you'll get to that. You won't get that for some random film nowadays.
Very true. Very
Um,
true.
you can only get that with some superhero movies that people are very hyped to see for a specific reason that the internet has told you about, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad because like I remember seeing the first Harry Potter movie. Everyone was completely quiet because they wanted to, and they laughed sometimes. I remember seeing Men in Black in the theater, and people laughed at that. But at the same time, like people were mostly silent because they wanted to either, I don't know if they were bored. A couple of them might have been, but a lot of them wanted to focus and pay attention and see like what's going to happen. Like, oh my gosh, like you're so invested in a film because you don't have your phone on you. No one had phones. They did, but it was like weird if you brought it in public, I guess. But people were more focused. Like if you're going to go to a movie, you're going to go there, you're going to get your money's worth, get your popcorn, get your soda, and pay attention and enjoy the experience. That's what cinema is,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know
I mean, I can watch. This is the thing. I can watch 10 Commandments. I can watch Gone with the Wind. I can watch all these big,
watch Gone with the Wind?
old epic films and
yeah.
and appreciate them because of their place in cinema, regardless of if I like the movies or not. There's certain movies that have that grand feel to them. And, and for example, again, deferring back to your show today, Jaws, Steven Spielberg, that's an epic movie. I can't say the same thing for all the sequels that came out, but I can say that the first movie that was done by Steven Spielberg was a masterpiece.
Absolutely. And to add on to that, I really do think that if you are exposed to these kind of films at a young age, of course you're going to end up like me and complaining about all the films that come out because you, at a young age, you've been exposed to some of the some cinema masterpieces. Like I grew up on Toy Story and The Lion King. Those are considered masterpieces. There were even movies for children are considered masterpieces in cinema. Toy Story with Pixar that catapulted them. It's the standard has been lowered so much, or either that, or your standards were set so high at an early age, I guess, for me, that I can't tolerate terrible or subpar or mediocre cinema. It just doesn't do it for me. And when I finally take the approach of I'm just going to enjoy this movie, I'm just going to see what happens, I'm going to get some popcorn and just enjoy it. When I put myself into that mindset, I can enjoy it, but nothing really blows me away anymore. So I guess.
Yeah, it's
hard. Do you think it's from like high expectations from what's come before, or is it just cinema's really gotten that bad?
I think it's a little bit of both. Honestly, we've gotten to a point where our expectations are high because of all the great stuff that we've seen that's come before and stuff that we can revisit whenever we like. And then couple that with the fact that I think we've got so much content that comes at us at such a rapid pace. There's so much to watch, so much to talk about. And then being content creators ourselves, I find that I spend more time watching other content creators and then also doing my own stuff than I have less time to think about, watching the latest Fast and the Furious movie or watching, some direct to video sequel to Jingle All the Way. The reality is that we have all of these things that we do, okay, that take up our time. Time is at a premium now too. You don't have that kind of time to waste watching crappy movies. If you think something is going to be bad, you're not going to devote your time to it because you have better things to do. And I think that's what the reality is for so many people. So when you have been exposed to so much that you consider to be great cinema and great content, you're not going to turn around and waste your time deliberately unless there's a purpose for it. Unless you're going to write an article,
We're monetizing it.
or you're monetizing it, and you're going to do a video and you're going to talk about it. Otherwise,
so you did read my blog.
well, yeah, you sent it to me, didn't you? I mean, this is the thing. I try to go into whenever I have somebody on late night Q&A. I try to, if I don't already know them really well or don't know them that much, I try to, do my research, and I try to, and you basically did that for me and provided me with enough material to where I could look at it and say, okay, cool. Cause I already liked you and thought you were cool and was getting to know you. But then when I started checking out that other stuff, it painted a nice little picture of, what you're about and where you're taking your stuff. I mean, I was going to ask you I was actually going to ask you how you felt about being a big Star Wars fan. I was going to ask you how you felt about Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, but then I watched your one video where you did a review and you talked about how you didn't like Baby Yoda anymore. So I was kind of like, okay, well, I kind of get the idea of where you are.
Well,
unless your feelings have changed. I mean, that's possible, but
of course, yeah, they've changed over time. Because I've gone back and forth because a lot of what I said in that Baby Yoda steals the show is the thumbnail,
sure.
Which did well, and he did. It was great. But I also had some minor complaints. I'm like, they had like, okay, all you did with that episode was make an omelet. Great. And then that led to further problems. And then by the 5th episode, I was like, you know what? This whole Baby Yoda thing, it's like, it's kind of ruining the show. It's like, okay, where do we go from here? You're going to, I even predicted, like, not even knowing, like, okay, like he's a Jedi. He's going to be on Luke Skywalker's academy. And we all know where that goes. Like he's going to die. You have to kill him then. Clearly that's not going to happen because you don't want to kill off the merchandise, as I said. But, like
he is merchandise. He's the ultimate form of merchandise.
Really
do you realize that this was the most genius thing that they could have done? Because here's the reality when it comes to this whole Baby Yoda Grogu thing. He is appealing to not just people that are fans of Star Wars and people who like this stuff, but people who would never watch Star Wars. Are going to be interested because they make this character so adorable. I mean, I know women who would never watch Star Wars in their life. They wouldn't be caught dead watching Star Wars, but they all fell in love with the baby Yoda. The Baby Yoda is like this is what I'm talking about. I'm like, it was marketing genius.
It really was. Whoever was in charge of that decision should get a raise.
I think it was Jon Favreau, but
he should get a raise.
The point is, Baby Yoda is like a master stroke, like marketing 101, like completely brilliant. Like you couldn't ask for better. You couldn't ask for a cuter, more adorable, more accessible alien character. It's like the next best thing to like E.T. back in the day.
E.T. wasn't all that cute though.
But everybody loved E.T. though. That's the thing. But this is E.T. on another level. This is making E.T. like doing it in a way where the character is adorable and cute, and you just want to see it every week. So people like us that are Star Wars fans that are going to watch Star Wars, watch it anyway, regardless, are now able to watch it with people who wouldn't be caught dead watching it because they want to see Baby Yoda. So that's
kind of the point.
That's
kind of the point of the whole show is that to
He's
expand
on
the audience.
everything. He's on cereal boxes. He's on soap. He's on. He's everywhere. I mean, wow! It's awesome. It's awesome. And Marcus Cruz wants to know, Justin Proper, is it okay for you if the Kenobi series breaks canon and makes Vader and Kenobi fight 2 times, dream sequence and in the flesh fight?
Well, would it? Well, I've been thinking about this because it is kind of a loaded question. Because it's not specifically said in A New Hope whether or not Mustafar was the last time. It was George Lucas's intention. Maybe not back then, but certainly when he was making the prequels, like, yes, absolutely, that should have been the last time that they ever saw each other up until the final fight where Vader gets the best of actually not even gets the best of him. Obi-Wan chooses to sacrifice himself. So is it really breaking canon? Because it's not specifically specified, but it does break George Lucas's original intention for sure.
Yeah, and they've got to be very careful how they do it, because again, it was
if they're going to,
the
and
words
it
that
seems
Darth
like they
Vader
are.
speaks in that fight that they have in A New Hope. You know, when we like he says, didn't he say when we last fought, I was but the learner? Didn't he say that? Wasn't that the words? I was but
Now
the
I
learner.
am the master.
Now I am the master. So it's essentially like it kind of implies that yes, Mustafar, again, that's the reference that you're supposed to garner from that. But I don't know. I think it's all going to depend on how they do it in the series. I mean, I'm sure there's ways where
I mean, look, we haven't. Let's be honest here. We haven't had a good lightsaber battle since Revenge of the Sith.
I could agree with that.
What is the excuse for that? Why has it taken us 17 years to get a decent lightsaber battle?
Yeah.
I didn't see one in the sequels. Not one. Not one decent one.
Yeah, the sequels, it seemed like the goal was to just get through it as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing that stood out about any of the lightsaber sequences in the sequels.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it just kind of screwed things up. They didn't even have a real one in The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Showcast says the whole Baby Yoda thing doesn't make sense. Luke can solve the mystery about Grogu by asking Yoda's Force ghost, since he's supposed to be in communication with him. Grogu is the new C-3PO with the amount of merchandising that character had all by himself. Yeah, well, there was
C-3PO have that much?
C-3PO. Yeah, C-3PO had his own cereal. C-3PO had a lot of stuff.
Oh, droids? That was a show, right?
That was a show. Yeah.
Was that what show Kaz is talking about?
Well, the merchandising was through the roof. I remember as a kid, I had C-3PO shampoo
with the heads on it.
Yeah, and you could. It was ridiculous. Oh, and Marcus wants to know if Showcaz is okay if they break canon. Showcaz says which lightsaber battle: Mace Windu versus Palpatine, or Anakin versus Kenobi, or Yoda versus Palpatine. They're all they were all better than what we got. They were all better than what we got in the sequels.
I would say, like, with the prequel trilogy, we were really spoiled with lightsaber battles that were epic beyond anything that the original trilogy gave us.
And there was style to the prequel lightsaber fights too. There was a style, and there was an actual
sophistication.
Sophistication, which I think was something that they were going for. They wanted to show the different styles of the Jedi and the Sith and all the various concepts. This is something we didn't get in the sequels by any stretch. Let's see. C3PO had clocks, books, cereals, and everything else. Yeah, C3PO was huge for some reason. I don't know. I was an
Yeah, I
80s
don't get
kid,
it.
and I don't remember going, hey man, screw Vader. I need more C3PO stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's like C3PO even had an action figure where you could take him apart and put him in like that little bag, where that little trap, like from Return of the Jedi, where no, in Empire Strikes Back, when he was broken up and in different parts, it was an
Oh,
action
you could
figure.
take them apart?
You could take him apart and put all of his parts in a little bag and have Chewie carry him around.
Huh, I didn't know that. That's so like Chewie was C3PO was attached to Chewie.
You could attach the bag, the little see-through bag to Chewie, and it would have all the C3PO parts in it. Marcus Cruz says, I'm just glad that Ewan McGregor is back. To be honest, Zod and Justin, I'm happy Disney is finally listening to us. And Hot Takes Tuesday wants to know, are you still boycotting DC? I was never boycotting DC. I just don't
Who's
like to
doing
talk.
that?
I just don't like to talk about DC very much anymore. I've kind of veered away from discussing DC simply because I'm tired of being told that my opinions are dangerous and that I'm spreading misinformation about
Your
DC.
opinions are dangerous?
My opinions are dangerous,
over
Justin.
a movie?
Over a movie, over DC and Warner Brothers, because I don't like the direction that Warner Brothers is currently taking DC. My viewpoint is dangerous. So I've gotten to the point where I just don't really like to talk about it too much anymore, because to me it's just like I'll talk about other things. It's not that difficult for me. I have
Yeah,
a
and
lot
also,
of
yeah, DC is not that. It's not that DC films are bad. It's just that these, at least in the last, man, 8 years or so, they've been kind of boring. Even like I was hopeful for Shazam. I was like, this is going to be great. Like, it's a good setup. The trailer had me interested, and I was interested in the first half, and then the second half came around, and I still haven't watched the last 20 minutes because I'm like, this is boring. I forgot what happened. Apparently, I watched it, but
I don't feel bad. Hot Takes Tuesday
yeah.
says hi. By the way. Hey, how's it going, man? Showcast says droids, let's see. Wash, what'd you say here? Was cashing
Droids was
droids
cashing
were
in.
cashing in on the whole C3PO boom. Yeah, C3PO had a boom. I don't know what it was about C3PO back then, but yeah. No, it's not good to break continuity. Okay. They tried it with Ewoks too, but it was not as popular merch wise compared to C3PO. Yeah, I agree. They tried really hard. They even had the Ewok pillow people. They tried with the Ewoks. People just didn't care about the Ewoks that much. Oh,
Yeah, I
Jesus
mean, they were
Christ!
just
Jesus
what they
Christ!
really
It's
were
DC, not
were
COVID.
alien teddy bears. That's all they were for merchandise wise. I
and
think
even
I
and
still
even
might
they
have
weren't
an Ewok.
and even they weren't as adorable as Baby Yoda. That's what I'm saying. Baby Yoda's got the market cornered. He's just like genius on so many levels. Jesus Christ, it's DC, not COVID. I agree. Uh, the self-appointed gatekeepers still at it. Seems odd. No one should be bullied for stating the truth. Don't say I never warned anybody. Hey, it's the
About
truth
what?
about DC. These gatekeepers come at you in ways, come at me in ways that I just don't care anymore. They've gotten me to the point where I'm indifferent. Like I said, I don't even talk about it anymore because it's just one of those things, man. I mean, I'm tired of being classified as dangerous and toxic because my viewpoints are different from the average DC fan.
Yeah, and that's kind of the criticism that Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers got. But it was by Lucasfilm, fanatics, sequel trilogy people saying like, "Oh, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a misogynist, blah blah blah." And
blah
now,
blah 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 blah. Everybody has their own opinion. That's what it is. It's all opinion. And I feel like you can speculate all you want on stuff. And if people don't like what you have to say, they don't have to listen to you. But it's
yeah,
funny because I'm to the point where I'm just like, my channel, my YouTube channel got raided by like a storm of like haters. They came in and raided my channel, bombing it with all kinds of obscenities and racist comments and things, trying to get
what?
the algorithm to shut down my channel. You should have seen it. It was insane. All kinds of things, and I'm to the point now where I've just thrown my hands up and said, you know what? I don't give a damn what DC does from here on out. I don't care. I'm indifferent to it. And you know why? Because I'm not allowed to say how I feel about it. So I just have just gotten to the point where
If
I
you don't agree
understand.
with us, you shouldn't be allowed to talk about it.
Right. That's what it is. That's what it
Yeah.
is. The gatekeepers. Shazam is comic accurate and better than every MCU movie. Okay. Well, that's your opinion, and you have every right to have an opinion. So I'll just
Yeah, I
leave
thought
it
the
at that.
premise was good. It was just the second half that it was just boring, and it's okay. Like sometimes I mean it might blow your mind. You just not to be a dick about it, but just I mean some people have other opinions. Like here's something that really blew my mind. When I was at Star Wars Celebration in 2019, I had just gotten from a conversation of um, from I think it was me and Ethan and that Star Wars girl Anna. We were all there, and then
Awesome.
yeah, it was a great time. It was a great weekend. But then I left and I went to a bar slash pizza place, like a deep dish pizza place that was across the street from the venue, and it was great pizza, but very great, very amazing. Never had deep dish pizza like that before.
Oh yeah, deep dish is wonderful.
It was amazing, but
Hey,
what
Ashley.
there were two guys that I had started a conversation with. I was like, "Oh, are you from the convention?" They're like, yeah, we're from the convention." And we started talking, and it turns out that these two, I was like, "Hey, what are your favorite Star Wars movies?" One of them said Rogue One. I was like, "Okay, interesting. That's your favorite Star Wars movie?" All right. I said to the other guy, "What's your favorite Star Wars movie?" He said The Last Jedi. I'm like, "What?" My mind was like, "What the what?" And I was like, "Okay." I said, "Obviously, I think you guys are wrong, but I really want to see. I really want to know why." And I guess what really got to me, not necessarily their arguments on whether the movies were good or not. That didn't really intrigue me,
Right.
but as
That's
much
all
as
subjective.
yeah. But what got me was um, that these two guys came all the way from Star Wars to Star Wars Celebration in Chicago because they had, Star Wars, they're younger than me, like 21, 22. I wasn't much older than them, but still older. I think one of them was a teenager. I don't know. But they were talking about how they heard, oh, these Star Wars movies, these 6 movies, oh, we'll watch it eventually. We'll watch it at some point. It's kind of like they were like, oh, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, The Wizard of Oz. We'll watch it at some point because we have plenty of time to watch it in our lives, and they're not going to make any new ones, you know. But then they found out that Disney had bought it and we're going to make new ones, and they're like, oh, we want to be a part of this conversation too. And so they decided to
Oh.
watch all the movies. They loved it. And then when the new ones came out, they fell in love with that, and they were more intrigued by the new movies. You know,
So they were kind of bandwagon fans who jumped on because they wanted to be a part of something. Yeah, I see a lot of that too.
No, not bandwagoning on, you know, being a part of a fandom. They wanted, yeah, I guess in a way they wanted to be a part of something, because I remember one of them said that they felt like they didn't, you know, belong in any like particular community, and they just wanted something, you know, and they
Okay.
felt like their lives, you know, were unfulfilled in some way, and they wanted to do something. I don't know what it was. I don't remember the exact phrasing, but you know, from a personal level, like they weren't trying to just invade a community. They just, you know, wanted to join in on the fun, join in on the fandom. And that Star Wars was, you know, when they heard that there were new movies, they became big fans, and they're like, oh, okay, maybe we should check these out. They gave it a chance, and they loved all of them. But when the Disney ones came out, they absolutely fell in love with them. And you know where they flew out to Chicago. I didn't say where they were from, but up until this point, but they flew out all the way from New Zealand to come to Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, which is not a cheap flight.
No.
At all. And who am I to tell these guys? And this happens a lot, you know, when people say, oh, your favorite movie was this Disney movie, well then you're not a real fan. Who am I to tell these guys from New Zealand that they're not real Star Wars fans when they flew out all the way from New Zealand to come here and spend a bunch of more money, hotel fares, and, you know, and going to all these meet and greets with all the actors? How are they not real fans? You know, if
no, they're real fans. It's just that, and this is the thing I don't get. I feel like this. I don't care how long you've been a fan. If you find something that resonates to you and you love it and you're willing to devote that type of effort, that type of time, money, energy, and that much of your life to it once it's in your life, that's completely fine. I don't believe in, well, you've only been a fan for 20 minutes, so you can't, you don't have no right to talk because you haven't been a fan, whatever. I don't believe in that. But at the same time, I think it gets to a point where when you start having people telling you how things should be, telling you what's okay and what isn't okay, and these people have only been fans for 20 minutes, that's when, you know, it becomes an issue. And that's where
they didn't do that for a minute. Like not even for a second. Did they
No. They're not going to do that because they're genuine fans. Like you just laid out their entire their entire origin story. They essentially became fans and found that they were in love with it and resonated with it. And I bet you they were excited to talk to you, being that you were a longtime fan.
Being around the same age.
Yeah.
Well, they were younger. I knew they were. Well, I guess they were old enough to drink, actually. So they had to be around my age. But I was just blown away that they didn't see that when we were younger. I guess it baffles me. But I guess, you know, I didn't know about Star Wars until I was about 10. No, about 8 or 9 years old. Maybe 7. I don't know.
And this is the line right here. Nothing wrong with loving what you love. Share your thoughts and connect with others. Just don't try to tear someone down just because they don't share your opinions. And I agree with that 100%. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because again, it's all, especially when we're talking about stuff like this, when we're talking about film, it's all subjective. You're not just because you may think it's the greatest film in the world. I may think it completely sucks, but that's what makes film great. Everybody, not everything that comes out is going to be for everybody. So you make that distinction, and as you experience life and you get older, you understand this and you realize that movies are made for different audiences. TV shows are made for different audiences. And so just because it doesn't appeal to you doesn't mean that it won't appeal to someone else, and doesn't mean you're not going to find content that is going to appeal to you. So I've never understood, and I've never been one of those people that goes into something to hate watch it. Because for me, if I think it's not going to be good, or I have an inkling that it might be complete crap, I still am going to go watch it because I want to be able to form an opinion and say to myself, okay, this was good. This was better than I thought it was going to be, or this was complete crap. But I can't say that it's complete crap if I haven't actually watched it and I haven't actually seen it. And I tell people all the time, I'm not really excited for this new Batman movie that's coming out with Robert Pattinson. I really could care less about the movie. I'm completely indifferent about it at this point. But I'm still going to see it. I'm still going to watch it just like everybody else, because I can't talk about it one way or the other unless I've seen the movie. It might end up being the greatest movie of all time, or it might end up being the biggest piece of crap of all time. But I don't know until I've had a chance to see it.
I remember maybe myself or some other people were like, okay, this Joker movie, what are they gonna do? They're gonna
Right.
say like, oh, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. He gets kicked down and becomes evil because he's bullied by like 10-year-olds. But when you see the
And there's
movie,
actually a scene in the movie where he's
yeah,
getting kicked and beat up. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
when you watch the movie, it's a masterpiece.
It is. It
And
was
I am
very well
so
done.
thankful to be able to have seen that on the big screen and experience that with other people for the first time. I even recorded on my phone the first hour of I didn't do the whole thing because the ending was great. And I wanted to record an audience reaction because
Oh,
it was
okay.
in the Cinerama Dome in Los Angeles, like the famous one that you see in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And it was projected on like 35 millimeter film, like actual film. Yeah, I haven't seen that in ever since the 90s when I was like 2 feet tall. So I was like, this is a big thing. But man, I'm so thankful to like those kind of movies come, just once every decade or so, you know. And
Yeah.
it's different for some people. I can't imagine people who actually hated it. I'm sure they exist, but
Oh, yeah, they exist.
in my opinion, they would be wrong. But and I've even argued that Joaquin is better than Heath Ledger. Boom.
Oh,
But that's
that's an argument. Uh, greetings,
yeah.
greetings to you too, Sherry. Greetings to you too. Pleasure to see you here. And Showcase says, "Yeah, well, tearing people down and franchises is big business on YouTube."
Oh, you don't say. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I had done my part earlier on in my YouTube career. I'm guilty of that. But some of it was, well, I mean, you put out a shit product, what am I going to do? Praise it? No. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I tore apart Jon Favreau's Lion King.
Mm.
It was a piece of garbage.
And the widow says, I have made the choice not to watch the next Venom movie because I know that I will only be hate watching it, and I don't want that energy going into a film. That is great. That's a great way to look at it. If you already know you're going to have that hate energy, then it's best not to see it. But I will say, because Ashley and I do a comic book show on Friday. On
Oh, you
Friday
do?
nights, we do weekly comic book movies, and a Marvel movie that I absolutely hated, um, Thor Ragnarok, is the movie we watched
Oh my God,
for
we're
this
gonna get
week.
along so great.
I hate that movie with a passion. Now, here's the thing, though. I hate the movie with a passion, but when I went back to rewatch it, I thought to myself, maybe it's just because I've seen so many crappy movies lately, because this movie isn't as bad as I remember. I don't know what's going on. I mean, as much as because I absolutely hated the movie. So to go back and have a completely different perspective of maybe it's not as bad as I remembered, that's a pretty big step for me, because I was like, I remember seeing the movie the first time thinking, if Taika Waititi or whatever his name is directs another movie, I will never watch another movie directed by that guy again, because this movie was ridiculous.
And then you saw Jojo Rabbit, like, oh, this is pretty good.
I saw Jojo Rabbit and I was like, whatever.
Okay,
It wasn't bad, but I still, it wasn't bad, but still, man, it was the director of Thor Ragnarok, so I kind of, was
but
a
you know
little bit.
what's funny about that? You know what's funny about that? Thor Ragnarok is the one and only movie I ever legitimately walked out on.
That's great.
I walked out.
That is great.
I walked out at the theater that's owned by Disney, like on Hollywood Boulevard. I said, I was like, you know what? Fuck this movie. I don't know what's going on, and the Thor movies suck anyways. And Chris Hemsworth is good in the Avengers as a a third lead, but not as the lead. Like that's what I thought. I was like, no, the heck with this. Who's Hannibal Lecter doing here? What is he doing? I didn't understand anything that was going on. Loki is all of a sudden a good guy. And to be fair, I wasn't caught up with the Avengers. I didn't even see Age of Ultron. I just saw the last Avengers movie, and I think that in Iron Man 3, and that was it. And Spider-Man Homecoming. And so after that, I was like, no, I'm done. I'm going to Sammy Hagar's tequila bar across the street and getting some tequila because I need it after this. But man, I could be wrong. I could rewatch that and be like, okay, that's actually kind of funny, because people are like, oh, that's hilarious. I'm like, yeah, it's just Marvel garbage humor. That's all I thought. But yeah, one of the movies that I completely changed my opinion on, but it wasn't during the movie, it was right before. Knives Out. I saw it with a friend.
I didn't watch it.
I saw it at a matinee. It only cost me $5, which was amazing. But I saw it with my friend.
I didn't see that. I didn't see Knives Out for the same reason that Ashley doesn't want to watch another Venom movie, because I cannot stand Rian Johnson as a director. I think he's pure garbage. And so I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Now, I've heard good things about Knives Out, but I don't want to hate watch it. So
well, that's the thing. I was going into it about to hate watch it, but then I had recently just done Grandparents React to Cecil, and I thought of what my grandpa said. It was a movie. I got out of the house and went into the movies for 10 cents and bought some popcorn, and just, it's a popcorn movie. So I thought of that, what he said, that in mind. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out of this theater right before this starts. I'm going to get some popcorn. I'm going to buy a beer, and I'm going to just go in with the mindset of not thinking that this is the director of The Last Jedi, but just a murder mystery, and we'll see what happens. And you know what? I enjoyed it. I changed my mindset.
Okay, that's a good story to hear, because again, that's Ryan Johnson of all people. So
I know.
if that's the case, then maybe there is hope. I mean, maybe I need to reevaluate and perhaps give it a chance now.
Well, and my other mindset is whatever keeps him away from Star Wars is fine by me. He can make as many Knives
He
Out
could make
movies
as
as he
many Knives
wants.
Out sequels as he wants now. That's great.
Yeah,
As long as his Star Wars trilogy never happens. Oh
yeah,
my
that's
god.
it's not going to happen.
And that dude Vince says gonna go see the Batman next Friday. First DC movie I will have seen in theaters in forever. Joker was basically a remake of King of Comedy, but it was amazing. Yes, it was. It was King of Comedy with a little bit of Taxi Driver mixed in with the Batman mythology. Yeah.
This is from a dude who made The Hangover, which I actually saw in theaters because I snuck into it. I was too young to see it by myself. My friends, we sat through 30 minutes of Land of the Lost, and we're like, this movie is garbage. So I guess technically this is my second walkout. But I walked out of that. I was just like, this sucks. Let's go to the other theater and watch The Hangover. And I don't regret it because I don't think of it as a walkout as much as it was sneaking it, like buying a ticket for one movie and sneaking into the other movie.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's cool though. I mean, who hasn't done something like that?
Did you ever sneak into a movie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like which one that you weren't allowed to see?
Oh, a movie I wasn't allowed to see. My God, I'm trying to
Because you
think.
couldn't get into R-rated movies in the 80s still.
Trying to think of one that like that. I don't know. I had snuck into a movie before, but not because I couldn't see. I wasn't allowed to see it. It was because the movie I was watching at the time sucked, and I snuck into a better movie.
Oh, which one?
That was I was watching. I think it was. The heck was it? There was. Oh yeah. I'd gone to see the Lion King, the John Favreau Lion King, and I watched about 5 minutes of that, didn't like it, and then snuck in and saw something else. I can't remember what it was that I snuck into.
Joker.
But it was
that didn't come out.
But it was a better movie. But it was a better movie than The Lion King. I just can't remember which movie it was.
Well,
Yeah, I think it had. No, I think it had Jason Statham in it. I can't remember the name of it.
Okay, but yeah, okay. All right. I mean, that's something. So that's not me. You know, I wouldn't qualify that as walking out of a movie as much as it was because I've only ever done that. Like, I've only snuck into a movie.
The only movie I ever walked out of was Where the Wild Things Are.
The trailer should have been enough.
I walked out of that thing and never and didn't feel bad at all about walking out. Out of here. Terrible. The Widow says, Zod, do you prefer Thor 3 or Shazam? Asking for a friend. Well, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, Widow.
What did you think of Shazam?
I didn't really like it because I felt I didn't like the way that Zachary Levi portrayed the character. I felt like he hammed it up and he made a mockery of the character instead of playing the character a little bit more along the lines of
truthfully
how the comic book character was. I don't know. But I guess I would have to say, oh my God, if somebody put a gun in my head, I guess I would have to say Shazam is slightly better.
You don't have to put a gun to my head to say that.
Yeah, Shazam is slightly better because Thor Ragnarok, I didn't hate it as much as I did the first time I watched it because, again, I watched Thor Ragnarok for you, Ashley, for our show, and I went into it looking at it differently this time. So we'll talk about it. But I'm just really feeling like, yeah, Shazam was slightly better. Slightly better.
Well, at least the first 30 minutes intrigued me more
The
than the first 30 minutes of the Ragnarok.
I
I didn't even get through it.
I don't know. I don't know what it was with me and Ragnarok, because it's definitely the cinematography is definitely good in Thor Ragnarok, but it's just everything else. I don't.
Yeah, like we start out with Thor in hell for some reason, and I'm like, why
It's a
are we in
fun
hell?
movie, but damn, they turned Thor into a bozo. Exactly. I
And
mean,
it's like, yeah. The Taika Waititi is definitely masters the horribleness that is the MCU humor, like, if you will, like the MCU jokes. Yeah, he turns that up like 3 notches. He's
yeah.
a goofy guy, and I'm sure he would
Sure.
be
Yeah,
fun to have a beer with.
Showcase is talking here about the comic book run, which again, Ragnarok is a much more serious storyline than the one that they depict in the film, which is one of the reasons why I had so much trouble with it. Because I'm going to be honest, I thought that the very first Thor movie was epic. I even liked the second one that everybody hates, the Thor Dark World. I even liked that one. But the third one, I just couldn't rack my brain around it. Maybe it was too much humor being injected. Maybe it was the fact that, again, they made Thor into a bozo. Maybe it had something to do with the horrible choices as director from Waititi. I don't know. I just know that it just didn't sit well with me as a fan of the source material. So I don't know. Integrity 101 says Ragnarok sucked, in my opinion. That being said, if people wanted a trilogy of those type of films, I would support it, as long as after the trilogy they reinterpret the character in a darker, more serious way.
So fire Chris Hemsworth.
I think Chris Hemsworth does a good job as Thor. I just think that
I was just asking.
these storylines are ridiculous. What do you think? You think he's okay in the role?
No. I mean, well, I've never read the comic books, so I can't give you a good answer of whether or not he portrays the character as was originally intended accurately.
I don't know. When I saw the first Thor film, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, you get a Shakespearean director, you get Kenneth Branagh to direct it, and you get this majestic, like, great movie. And then what do they decide to do? We're just gonna go over here and throw some jokes in over here, and I don't know. Hot
And
Take
this
says
random lady comes out in a spaceship with a bunch of beer bottles and like falls over.
Oh my god.
Drinking and driving in a spaceship. That's great.
Oh Widow did voodoo on you. Thor on the rag is terrible. It is a bad movie. It's a bad. I agree with you. It's a bad movie, but I didn't hate it as much as I did the first time. Again, because I'm looking at it differently. Ashley is awesome. That's all I have to say. Showcase says Loki allying with Thor to save Asgard is a trope in the original comics, so it's not inaccurate. No, but the way it was done in this movie was played up for laughs. I like it when franchises don't take themselves too seriously. I'm not attached to source material when it comes to movies. That's probably a wise way to look at movies. You'll enjoy movies a lot more if you're not attached to the source material. I'll give you that. Hot Takes Tuesday says that Knives Out is amazing.
Thank you. I agree.
Garbage and pompous.
I don't know what that
Showcase, I agree. Ragnarok isn't an accurate interpretation. I still had fun with the film. See, but this is what's going to be interesting when me and Ashley talk about this movie tomorrow because we're talking about these movies from the perspective of comic book readers and in terms of how the movies are depicted through the eyes of people who read the comic books and understand the source material and see what they're trying to do with these characters when they put them on film. So it's going to be
I have a
fun
question with
conflict.
that though. Like, was the Infinity Saga? Did Tony Stark do the "I am Iron Man" crap when it
No,
came out?
no, Justin.
What happened? How was Thanos defeated?
Not like that. There's a lot more involved. There's a character named Adam Warlock. There's all kinds of there's also Silver Surfer. There's tons of Marvel characters that are in this. It's a much deeper thing, and it's not super easy to explain, but it's definitely not.
It's more epic than the movies present itself to be.
You know what? I think the movies were done up for cinematic effect because when you take a comic book, you have so much time to flush out all these storylines and to build towards something big. With these movies, it's like they're trying to get you there. Now, I'm not saying that, and maybe that's not a good comparison with the Marvel movies because it took them 10 years to get to Endgame, but I don't know.
Yeah, but how does it happen? How did they defeat him?
Oh God, it's
It's okay. Conversation for another day.
Yeah, we would have to do we could do a whole other stream on that.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
No, it's okay. Knives Out doesn't have any space ocean cows, so plus. Okay,
Yes,
cool.
indeed. 2 thumbs up.
So there's no green milk or anything.
Awesome. Well, I mean, unless you was it green? I'm not gonna spoil it. But
if you go into any movie
something like that in the film.
Yeah, if you go into any movie looking to rip it apart, it's easy to do. My favorite movie of all time is a certified cinema classic, but it's still easy to rip apart.
What would that be?
It's the vocals. Yeah, what's your favorite movie of all time, Integrity? I changed my mind a bit on Man of Steel. I hated it, but now there's aspects I appreciate. Still not my Superman, but I went too hard on it.
I think a lot of people do.
Hot Takes Tuesday. Care to elaborate? Wow, look at the discussions that are brewing from this.
Yeah,
I don't like The Lion King because it was a boring shot for shot. I thought live action Aladdin was much better. I didn't like live action Aladdin. I didn't like Will Smith singing. I thought that was inappropriate.
You know what? Yeah, he's better at rapping for sure.
They should have had somebody else sing the songs. Like they could have had him, because they've done that a lot. Because not all actors can sing. So it's fine if you get somebody who can sing.
At least they didn't try to just rip off Robin Williams.
Well, yeah, that wouldn't have made sense because you're going to have Will Smith play the genie. That would not have made sense.
I have a question. If he were alive, he probably wouldn't have done it. But if he was up to it, who else would you have as the genie?
That's a good question. If he was up to it, maybe they would have brought him in.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have played. Yeah.
Yeah, to see him.
They would have CGI'd him.
Yeah. Oh man, would have been great.
Judge Dredd with Stallone. I walked out of it. So did everyone else.
Was it that bad?
All the close-ups of Stallone's face in that movie, like super close-ups. Marcus Cruz wants to know, Justin Proper, are you a Marvel MCU fan, and are you excited for the MCU Fantastic Four movie?
I would say I'm more on the camp of a casual fan. Like I enjoy the movies. I watched the first Iron Man when it came out. And am I excited for the new Fantastic Four? I'm indifferent. I hope it's good, but I don't have any expectations from it. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I have literally nothing to say about the new Fantastic Four movie because we've had two other iterations from it. One of which I was a young kid, saw it in the theater, and I loved it.
I have to do this. I do this every time somebody mentions Fantastic Four. I pull out my absolute favorite version of
Oh
Fantastic
God,
Four, Roger Corman's Fantastic Four from the 90s. And this is a great,
that was never
a great,
released.
great movie, never released, but it was very well done, and it has the aesthetic of the original Fantastic Four comic books. And the
It looks
director
terrible just
and the
off the cover.
director Ole Sassoon
It looked like
is
it was made in the '60s.
it does it has that look of a movie that was made in the 60s. It looks like it could fit right in with that 1970s Incredible Hulk series with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. It really does have a 60s feel to it, and it's so funny when you watch it. It Because of the quality of it, it looks like it was actually made in the 60s. That's how it looks.
Maybe was that intentional or just low budget?
I think it was intentional, and because it was low budget.
Okay, so
So
win-win.
win-win on that front. Let's see. Okay, I would LOL. Nice try. Nerd Man wins. Yes. Captain Marvel was always pretending to be an adult, not an adult who acts like a kid. I walked out of Shang-Chi. Okay.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Some people said it reminded them of the old Bruce Lee films.
I will confess. I will confess that I still have not watched Shang-Chi all the way through.
Well, that's no fault of your own. I heard it was bad. I don't like.
Well, the
kung fu
problem is I
movies.
fell asleep a couple of times while trying to watch it.
So did I.
I mean, that's just. Uh-oh. Oh, geez. Not that properly, Justin, again.
Yeah, a long time no see, Tim.
What's going on, Tim? I subscribed to you today. You really do.
Hey,
You really do look like Adam Driver.
he does. He
I
does.
love the first Thor. They are introducing Gar in Thor 4, and if the leaks are true, Gar is going to kill all the gods. Okay. Well, if the rumors are true, Nerdman Shang-Chi is half a good movie, but walking out is a bit much. Oh my God, I think I know what movie we're going to do next week, Widow. It captures the mythic epicness of the Norse god. Okay. God, this is some great stuff, you guys. You guys are just giving some great stuff here. With him making wisecracks every time he kills a god. Oh my goodness. Everybody's saying hello, hello, hello. He did, but the first two films didn't translate well, so they changed the character up. It's a good film, but not a good Thor film. Oh, okay. Interesting.
More people saying hi.
Yeah, lots of great stuff here in the chat today. Thor was always epic and serious. They never even played the drama about him being in love with her against Odin's wishes. Yeah, if Kenneth Branagh would have stayed on board, I'm sure every single movie would have been epic and majestic. But alas, that was not to be. Let's see, what do we got here? It's a mistake to take a one-size-fits-all approach to any iconic character. I'd rather see directors take chances and be allowed to follow through when it's over. Simply reinterpret the character. Yeah, like almost like a comic book run. A director does his take on these characters, or whatever. There's a continuity, and then they reboot after a while. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that really upset me with the Spider-Man movies, especially the Amazing Spider-Man. I saw Spider-Man 3 with my grandma, not the one who was in the video, my other one, who's still alive and well. By the way, but good memories with her as well, taking going to movies with her. But I was like, this is too soon, to reinterpret the character. But now I understand why it happened, and it was like being in honors chem class again, like just like with all the sciencey crap. I was like, oh, stop it, just get to the plot, get to the fun stuff.
When you say first half, what is the first half? Because I fell asleep 3 times trying to watch Shang-Chi.
Well,
3
maybe it's
times.
not meant to be.
No, I will get through it eventually. Next time I'm gonna get an energy drink, and I'm gonna drink an energy drink. I'm gonna make sure that I'm fully fully caffeinated when I watch it. Because my problem is with Shang-Chi, I keep trying to watch it at night, and yeah. Hot Takes Tuesday said, I walked out of Shang-Chi because I couldn't take the guy behind me munching popcorn loud and laughing at every cheap MCU joke, every effing one of them. It was like a nightmare I had once. Oh, my
Okay,
goodness.
that's reasonable.
Yeah. Integrity 101 says, my favorite film is Donner's Superman. Technically, my 4-hour Soup's epic fan edit is my favorite. Regardless, though, it's an easy film to rip apart. All movies are. Well, yeah, that's the thing. You guys got to and again, I want to reiterate, you guys got to check out Justin's video with his grandparents, where they do the whole Wizard of Oz thing. Here, I'm going to share the link again so you can check it out. If you didn't get a chance to, you should definitely hear it. It's hilarious. I enjoyed it. It's 15 minutes of your life that you will be glad you spent on it. It's definitely a great video.
Thank you. And not to go back on too much, horribleness, but I would like to quote Roger Ebert, and I kind of did in my initial review of Jingle All the Way too, which was a big waste of my time and everyone else's time. I had said,
well, you pretty much effed everybody in your.
Oh, at the end. Oh, okay, guys. Like it got so bad. Like I was very sophisticated at the start of it, and then at the end, it was just like F the director, F the writers, F the lighting department. Like they had anything to do with the plot and the terribleness. But F the WWE for distributing this film. It was a nightmare to get through. It really was. I said a lot of horrible things, a lot of terrible, like, like if I ever met these people, I'd be like, hey, like F Larry the Cable Guy, Disney Channel original.
But I don't understand why they made. I don't understand why they made that movie. They could have called. They could have called it
either because they weren't getting money because it was direct to video.
They could have called it anything else. Why did they call it Jingle All the Way 2? Like, to me, it had nothing to do with any of the.
The little girl was illiterate, like her stupid father, Larry the Cable Guy. Like, I don't know. It was just
who puts Larry the Cable Guy in a movie anyway? I mean,
I don't know. Pixar did, and that sucked too.
Yeah, I just.
but what I said, and to quote Roger Ebert a little bit, like I did in that review, I said, "Oh, dude, Tim, yeah, the Santa Claus with Tim Allen as well.
Yeah,
the Santa Claus does not age well with the CGI reindeer. It looked like a piece of crap flying the sleigh away into the night. It looked horrible." But look, here's the thing. Life is short and life is precious. You only have one shot at life. And if you do the math, when people go to the theater in masses and watch a movie that's terrible, that's 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours of your life that is now gone. And if you tally up how many people saw it, apparently that is days, weeks, months, years, even centuries of the human race that is now gone because of this terrible movie. And the people who had made that movie ought to be ashamed of themselves for wasting people's time. Because if you do
God,
add up the numbers,
I never thought about it like that, but that's profound. Oh my God, that's horrible.
That's Roger Ebert, and it's Roger Ebert who said that. And I was like, you know what? Yes. And when I watched Jingle All the Way 2, I was like, I can't even imagine like what could have been accomplished if all of these people, with their combined time that they wasted with this 90-minute shit show that's available on Disney Plus for some reason, like they show it now because they're proud of it for some reason. I don't know why, but it's just you could have cured cancer with the centuries of time.
Well, now they did make a direct to video sequel for the Christmas Story as well. So we have to realize that they just keep pumping out this trash. It's just,
oh man, that hurts my soul. That really does too, because they made a really bad one where Ralphie's a creep. Like he really is. He sniffs a girl's hair or something, and the voiceover is just so weird. And it's like, oh my God, stop it. My ears. And I watched, like I did this whole, like in 2020, I did 25 Days of Torture, which I watched for every day leading up to Christmas. I watched a bad movie and posted my little short review on Twitter. Oh my goodness. Most of them were terrible, were god awful, but some surprised me. And you know what got me? You know what really got me?
Too?
What? Oh, well, that got me in a bad way, but what got me in a good way was Ernest Saved Christmas.
8-Bit Christmas.
Wait, you knew that? You were literally about to say that. Did you look at my tweets or something?
No, but Ernest Saved Christmas is a good movie. But
do you remember me saying that?
No, but I was going to ask you, did you watch 8-Bit Christmas?
Oh, 8-Bit Christmas. Oh, was that a bad one?
Well, no, it was kind of like a version of Christmas Story, but with the main MacGuffin of the movie being a Nintendo instead of the Red Ryder BB gun.
I don't know if I could do that. Oh wait, is it live action?
Yeah.
Okay, if the whole movie was 8-bit, I could do it.
It's with Neil Patrick Harris and a couple other people. It's interesting. It's like a new take on the whole Christmas Story thing, but just takes place in the 80s when Nintendo was new and everybody wanted a Nintendo.
It was like a Christmas Story remake without it being a Christmas Story.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is how you should do it.
Yeah.
Instead of calling it a Christmas Story, which people would have been upset by.
Mm-hmm.
Like we weren't heartbroken enough by the sequels.
By A Christmas Story too, yeah, or the sequel to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which with
Cousin Eddie.
Cousin Eddie.
I watched that too. Oh dear Lord, that was horrible. It was that was one of the worst too, but. The fact that Jingle All the Way 2 made, like, I felt the need to type out a long essay about it for whatever reason. Like, that one stood out because it was just so horrible. Still one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I live streamed it last Christmas. Oh, man. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Well, you know what, Justin? We're going to have to do this again sometime because it sounds like we've got a
yeah.
lot more topics we can talk about. But I'm getting kind of tired, so I'm going to lay
I
down
am
because I
too.
got to get up early in the morning. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Justin, for being here. This has been a lot of fun. This has been Late Night Q&A with ZodWriter. I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you very much for smashing that like button. Subscribe to Justin Proper if you haven't already, and check out the video of Justin and his grandparents reacting to a video trashing The Wizard of Oz. It is highly entertaining.
And I thank you for plugging that over anything else. If there's only one video that you watch, I hope it's that one.
But that really is a great video. I mean, it resonated with me. I mean, I totally understood. And it was one of those videos where, you know, you get to see the difference in viewpoint. I mean, like just a lot of it, like generationally, yeah, with your grandmother's expressions and your grandfather's, you know, indifference about it all. It was just awesome. Like I loved it. I thought it was great. So thank you for sharing that with me, and thank you very much for being here. I'm excited. This was a really great episode. This was a lot of fun, and thank you for having me on This Week in BS earlier today too.
Oh, absolutely, You're welcome anytime. So, and I know we went on. You see what I said the other night? We could do this all day. We really easily could if we were both not tired.
Oh yeah, it's late. That's why you know, you do late night Q&A. It's like, hey, it's time to go to bed. But thank you very much, everybody. And Ashley and I will be here tomorrow night or tonight, Friday night, with weekly comic book movies, where we'll be talking about breaking down Thor Ragnarok. So definitely tune into that. And then next Thursday for late night Q&A, I have the amazing and wonderful Rhea joining me. So that should be a lot of fun. So good night, everybody. And before I go, Justin, tell everybody what you got coming up, because I don't want you to not.
Honestly, well, This Week in Bullshit is always on Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, every single night, every single Thursday, unless I say otherwise, which I'll usually announce ahead of time. But yeah, honestly, just go watch grandparents react to Cecil. Go watch the video with my grandparents. That's all I ask. If there's only one video that you watch from me, even if you don't subscribe, that's fine. Just leave a like on the video and just get some popcorn and just enjoy it, because I think if anything comes from my channel, I just hope that this is a good time capsule that I can share with my future nieces and nephews, and maybe my children someday, and they'll see what their great grandparents were like, and what their thoughts were on The Wizard of Oz. And because that movie has gone through 80 years of generations, so
yeah, and it's timeless.
It's timeless. And that's all I ask. Is just leave a like, and if there's only one video you check out, hopefully it's that one. And go subscribe to ZodWriter if you haven't already, as I'm saying it to your viewers. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Peace.